हेलो, स्टार्ट करूँ?
स्टार्ट कर दो स्टार्ट।
ठीक है, ठीक है। अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन, आई एम शमील। मैं पाकिस्तान से हूँ और करंटली ऑक्लिट्स में एज़ अ जूनियर इन्फोसेक काम कर रहा हूँ। करंटली प्ले माउस में मेरी प्रेजेंटेशन का जो टॉपिक है आज वो है इंटरनेट पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग पे। सो डिस्क्लेमर: The information in the presentation webinar has the goal to teach you the techniques used by hackers in order to avoid them. This knowledge is not intended to be used maliciously. It is your responsibility if you decide to use information to make illegal and or unethical choices actions. The ideas, concepts, techniques, tricks mentioned in the presentations are not developed by me, but by others, and I have accumulated the material from different sources to convey it to the audience. Always obtain the permission first before utilizing it, utilizing knowledge of penetration testing. इंट्रोडक्शन। सो इंटरनेट पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग पे जाने से पहले हम ये समझ लें कि पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग क्या है। पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग एक एक्टिविटी का नाम है या एक एक्सरसाइज कह लें जिसमें हम किसी नेटवर्क, किसी सिस्टम या किसी एप्लीकेशन के लूप होल्स या सिक्योरिटी वीकनेसेस को फाइंड आउट करते हैं और उसके बाद उसको एक्सप्लॉइट करते हैं। जो पेनिट्रेशन टेस्ट हैं वो ऑथराइज टेस्ट होते हैं जो प्रोफेशनल्स कैरी आउट करते हैं डिफरेंट टेक्निक्स यूज़ करके, जो रियल अटैकर्स रियल वर्ल्ड में यूज़ करते हैं। सो रीजंस रीजंस क्या है कि हमें पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग क्यों करनी चाहिए। पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग करने के जो रीज़न है वो ये है कि हम करंटली ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की सिक्योरिटी प्रोफाइल को जांच लेते हैं कि करंटली इन्होंने जो सिक्योरिटी पोस्चर लगाया हुआ है वो कितना पानी में है। उसके अलावा अगर उसमें हम कोई वीकनेसेस फाइंड आउट करते हैं तो उसे हम हाईलाइट करते हैं। सिर्फ वीकनेसेस एक्सप्लॉइट ही नहीं करते बल्कि उसके साथ साथ उसके सिक्योरिटी मेजर्स भी हम फाइंड आउट करते हैं और उसके बाद उसको प्रॉपर डॉक्यूमेंट करते हैं। अच्छा, अब पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग होती किस तरह है? तो पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग करने के लिए हमें कोई मेथोडोलॉजी फॉलो करनी पड़ती है। आप काफ़ी तरह की मेथोडोलॉजीज इस वक्त मौजूद हैं और इसके अलावा पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग के अंदर हम प्रॉपर ऑब्जेक्टिव्स डिफाइन करते हैं कि हमें पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग किस चीज़ की करनी है, क्योंकि पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग बहुत सारी चीज़ों की हो सकती है, नेटवर्क, फायरवॉल सिस्टम्स, एप्लीकेशंस एक्सेट्रा। हमने प्रॉपर मेथोडोलॉजी भी डिफाइन करनी होती है, प्रॉपर ऑब्जेक्टिव और प्रॉपर स्कोप कि हमें किस हिस्से की करनी है। अब एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, फॉर एग्जांपल माइक्रोसॉफ्ट हो गई या कोई भी एक बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हो गई, वो काफ़ी मतलब फैली हुई होती है। तो अब कोई भी एक बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है वो हमें एक पर्टिकुलर एरिया दे देती है कि हमें इस एरिया के ऊपर पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग करनी है, इससे हटकर हम किसी और चीज़ के ऊपर नहीं जा सकते, उस चीज़ की हमें इजाज़त नहीं होती। अब पेनिट्रेशन टेस्ट होते किस तरह के हैं? एम आई गोइंग टू फास्ट? आई कैन नॉट सी द चैट।
It is okay, just be little slow and it is okay.
हेलो,
Yeah,
am I going too fast?
yeah, you little fast.
Okay, okay. I'll slow down. So, types of penetration testing. Actually, I cannot see the chat, so if there's any issue, please let me know through the audio. Types of penetration test. Actually, there are three types of penetration test. अगर हम बॉक्स के हिसाब से बात करें तो तीन तरह के पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग हैं जो हम परफॉर्म कर सकते हैं। पहली है वाइट बॉक्स। वाइट बॉक्स पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग के अंदर क्या होता है कि आपका एक पूरा मुआहदा हो चुका होता है एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ। ठीक है, आप एक आईटी की टीम के साथ बैठते हैं। अब आईटी की टीम आपको पूरी इन्फॉर्मेशन दे देती है नेटवर्क की, कि नेटवर्क में कौन सी आईपीज़ हैं, किस आईपी के ऊपर क्या चल रहा है। मतलब इन शॉर्ट आपके पास हर एक चीज़ की इन्फॉर्मेशन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की आ जाती है। आपको हर एक चीज़ का ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का पता होता है कि क्या क्या चीज़ यहाँ पे लगी हुई है। उसके बाद आप पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग स्टार्ट करते हैं। और सेकेंडली हमारे पास आती है ब्लैक बॉक्स। अब ब्लैक बॉक्स में ये होता है कि आपको ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का कुछ नहीं पता होता, सिर्फ आपको टारगेट दिया हुआ होता है कि ये एक टारगेट है और आपको इसको एक्सप्लॉइट करना है या इस टारगेट को आपको पेनिट्रेट करना है। तो अब ब्लैक बॉक्स में फर्दर दो टाइप्स आ जाती हैं हमारे पास। पहली टाइप है ब्लाइंड और दूसरी टाइप है डबल ब्लाइंड। अब ब्लैक बॉक्स के अंदर जो ब्लाइंड टाइप है उसके अंदर ये होता है कि आपके पास हैकर जो आपका सॉरी पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टर होता है उसको सिर्फ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का पता होता है कि ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है और आपको इसको अटैक करना है। जबकि जो इंटरनल एम्प्लॉयज़ होते हैं उनको बता दिया जाता है कि इस वक्त करंटली ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग की एक्टिविटी चल रही है। इसका फ़ायदा ये होता है कि ब्लाइंड टेस्ट के अंदर सोशल इंजीनियरिंग अटैक्स बहुत कम हो जाते हैं, क्योंकि एम्प्लॉयज़ को पता होता है कि जो पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टर है वो सोशल इंजीनियरिंग के थ्रू एक्सप्लॉइट करने की कोशिश करेगा। सोशल इंजीनियरिंग का मतलब ये है कि किसी को बेवकूफ़ बनाकर उसकी क्रेडेंशियल्स या प्रिविलेजेस हासिल कर लेना। जबकि डबल ब्लाइंड के अंदर ये होता है कि पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टर डायरेक्टली सीईओ से बात करते हैं और ना आईटी को पता होता है, ना इंटरनल एम्प्लॉयज़ को पता होता है कि पेनिट्रेशन टेस्ट हो रहा है। इससे ये पता चल जाता है कि करंटली जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का सिक्योरिटी पोस्चर है, वो किस हद तक आपका सेफ है। तो ये होता है हमारा डबल ब्लाइंड, जिसमें पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टर को भी कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं होती और साथ-साथ इंटरनल एम्प्लॉयज़ को भी कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं होती कि करंटली पेनिट्रेशन टेस्ट किया जा रहा है। और ग्रे बॉक्स हमारा जो है वो तीसरी टाइप है, मतलब ये वाइट और ब्लैक के दरमियान है। इसमें ये होता है कि जो पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टर है, उसके पास सिर्फ इतनी इन्फॉर्मेशन होती है जितनी एक इंटरनल एम्प्लॉय के पास होती है। लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर आप किसी एक कंपनी में काम कर रहे हैं और आपके पास एक कंप्यूटर अलॉट है या आपको वाईफाई एक्सेस है, सो इफ़ यू टाइप अ कमांड इन सीएमडी, सो यू कैन सी पर्टिकुलर आईपी एंड सबनेट्स वगैरह, आप नेटवर्क की इस तरह से नेटवर्क की आईपीज़ वगैरह इस तरह से जान सकते हैं। तो ग्रे हेड हैकर के पास, ग्रे हेड पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टर के पास सिर्फ इतनी नॉलेज होती है जितनी एक इंटरनल एम्प्लॉय के पास मौजूद होती है। तो ये हमारे 3 टाइप्स हैं पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग के। ऊपर जैसा कि मैंने बताया कि पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग आपकी मेथोडोलॉजी फॉलो करती है। अब पेनिट्रेशन टेस्ट एक सिर्फ इतना ही कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव हो सकता है जिस हिसाब से आपने मेथोडोलॉजी फॉलो फॉलो की है। मतलब डिफरेंट मेथोडोलॉजी के डिफरेंट कॉम्प्रिहेंशंस होते हैं। तो अब मेथोडोलॉजीज़ भी हमारे पास 2 टाइप्स की होती हैं, या तो आपके पास ओपन सोर्स होती हैं या तो किसी कंपनी की प्रोप्राइटरी होती हैं, जो आप फ्रीली यूज़ नहीं कर सकते। तो जो ऊपर की 1, 2, 3, 4 मैंने डिस्क्राइब किए हैं, ये आपकी ओपन सोर्स हैं, सोर्स मेथोडोलॉजीज़ हैं जो आप अपने पेनिट्रेशन टेस्ट के अंदर यूज़ कर सकते हैं, यूटिलाइज़ कर सकते हैं। अब हम आगे चलते हैं टाइप्स ऑफ पेनिट्रेशन टेस्ट पे। तो अगर टेक्निकली देखा जाए तो पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग के बहुत सारे टाइप्स होते हैं। लाइक अगर मैं जनरली देखूँ तो एक होती है एक्सटर्नल पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग। लाइक आप ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के बाहर से बैठ के ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में पेनिट्रेट करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। दूसरी आपके पास होती है इंटरनल पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग, कि आप ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर ही बैठे हुए हैं और आप वहाँ से अपना काम कर रहे हैं। इसके अलावा बहुत सारी डिफरेंट टाइप्स होती हैं, लाइक फायरवॉल पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग, इंट्रूजन डिटेक्शन, आईओटी डिवाइसेस की, लाइक कैमरा हो गया, बायोमेट्रिक्स हो गई। इसके अलावा पावर क्रैकिंग हो गई, कि आपने जो पासवर्ड लगाए क्या वो ब्रूट फोर्स से वल्नरेबल हैं या नहीं है। सोशल इंजीनियरिंग की पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग, जैसा कि मैंने पहले बताया कि एम्प्लॉयज़ के पास क्या इस तरह की ट्रेनिंग मौजूद है कि वो अपने आप को सोशल इंजीनियरिंग अटैक से बचा सकें। लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल, आपको पता है फिशिंग अटैक नॉर्मली होते हैं, तो एम्प्लॉयज़ को भी मतलब नॉर्मली इतनी ट्रेनिंग दे देनी चाहिए कि वो आर्म्स अटैक्स के अंदर जो है अपनी क्रेडेंशियल्स ना दे दें, क्योंकि अगर एक दफ़ा एम्प्लॉय आपका एक्सप्लॉइट हो गया तो उसके बाद कंपनी में पिवटिंग के थ्रू आप मज़ीद पेनिट्रेट कर सकते हैं। इसके अलावा भी बहुत ज़्यादा पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग की टाइप्स होती हैं, डिपेंड करता है कि आपको ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने कौन सा स्कोप दिया है। किसी ने आपको सिर्फ ये कहा है कि आप हमारे कैमरा एक्सप्लॉइट करके दिखाएं, तो आप सिर्फ और सिर्फ उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के कैमरा की पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग के हद तक महदूद रहेंगे। अगर आप खुदा ना खास्ता बायोमेट्रिक की तरफ चले गए तो डेफिनेटली वो कंपनी आपको इजाज़त नहीं देती और आपके पास केस इश्यूज हो सकते हैं। अब अगर बिटसाइट के रेफरेंस में देखूँ, तो हमारे पास जनरली 2 तरह के पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग है। एक है एक्सटर्नल पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग, लाइक आप बाहर से बैठ के ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर पेनिट्रेट कर रहे हैं। ये ब्लैक बॉक्स भी हो सकती है और अगर देखा जाए तो ये व्हाइट बॉक्स भी हो सकती है, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द इन्फॉर्मेशन के अगर साथ मिलकर काम कर रहे हैं और सिर्फ यही हमें देखना है कि आपके बाहर के एंड पॉइंट से कोई बंदा ना घुस सके। तो आप एक्सटर्नल पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग व्हाइट बॉक्स से भी कर सकते हैं। और एक होती है इंटरनल पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग, जो आप अंदर ही बैठ के करते हैं। क्योंकि हमारी इंटरनेट पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग है तो हम मज़ीद सिर्फ और सिर्फ इंटरनल पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग के ऊपर ध्यान देंगे। इंटरनल पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग मैं सिर्फ नेटवर्क के हवाले से बयान कर रहा हूँ, तो मैं कहूँगा कि इंट्रानेट मतलब नेटवर्क के अंदर। तो इस पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग के अंदर क्या होता है कि आप ये अज्यूम करते हैं कि आप करंटली एक एम्प्लॉई हैं। मतलब इसमें सिनेरियोज होते हैं कि आप रोग एम्प्लॉई हैं या एक एम्प्लॉई आपका एक्सप्लॉइट हो चुका है पहले से ही। तो आप यहाँ पर इस तरह से बैठ के अपनी पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग स्टार्ट करते हैं। लाइक दिस टेस्ट एग्जामाइंस इंटरनल आईटी सिस्टम्स फॉर एनी वीकनेसेस दैट कुड बी यूज्ड टू डिस्टर्ब द कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी, अवेलेबिलिटी और इंटीग्रिटी ऑफ द नेटवर्क। आपको पता है इंफॉर्मेशन सिक्योरिटी के अंदर CIA ट्राइड होता है, लाइक कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी, इंटीग्रिटी और अवेलेबिलिटी का। तो इंटरनल पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग में हमें ये डिफाइन करना होता है कि हमारा इंटरनल नेटवर्क कितना सिक्योर है। नॉर्मली आपने क्या कहते हैं, नेटवर्क एज पे फायरवॉल लगाई हुई होती है और काफ़ी सॉल्यूशंस लगे होते हैं कि बाहर से अंदर आना बहुत मुश्किल होता है। बट हमें ये भी ध्यान में रखना चाहिए कि अगर हैकर ऑलरेडी अंदर आ गया है तो हम कितने सिक्योर हैं, कि हम सिक्योर हैं भी या नहीं हैं। तो यही मेन एवल्यूएशन है जो हमारी इंटरनेट पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग हमें बताती है। सो नेक्स्ट हम चलते हैं फेजेस ऑफ पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग पे, कि पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग के फेजेस क्या हैं। अगर देखा जाए तो पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग के अलग 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 जगहों पे अलग अलग फेजेस हैं। यहाँ पर जो फेजेस मैंने लिए हैं वो पेंटर रूट से लिए हैं, जो कि 5 हैं। फर्स्ट से रिकॉनेसेंस, लाइक इन्फॉर्मेशन गैदरिंग के आपने पूरी जासूसी करनी होती है, पूरी इन्फॉर्मेशन आपने गैदर करनी होती है। सेकेंडली आपके पास आता है स्कैनिंग के, फिर एक्सप्लॉइटेशन, मेंटेनिंग एक्सेस एंड कवरिंग ट्रैक्स, ये हम फर्दर अभी डिस्कस करते हैं। तो रिकॉनेसेंस क्या होता है? रिकॉनेसेंस में ये होता है कि हम जितनी ज़्यादा हो सके अपने इंफॉर्मेशन गैदर कर सकें अपने टारगेट के बारे में, कि टारगेट के ऊपर क्या चल रहा है, क्या नहीं चल रहा, एट्सेट्रा। उसके ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम्स क्या हैं, सर्वर्स कौन से लगे हैं, जितनी ज़्यादा इन्फॉर्मेशन हमारे पास टारगेट की मिल सके, हम इस फेज़ के अंदर वो ये इन्फॉर्मेशन मालूम करते हैं। यही एक काफ़ी, अगर आप देखा जाए तो इम्पोर्टेंट फेज़ है, कि आपके टारगेट के पास आईडीएस या आईपीएस जैसे सॉल्यूशन लगा हुआ है तो आप फ़ौरन भी पकड़े जा सकते हैं, लाइक इंट्रूजन डिटेक्शन सिस्टम या इंट्रूजन प्रिवेंशन सिस्टम। तो हमें पहले पूरी इस चीज़ की मालूमात हो जानी चाहिए कि हमारे पास टारगेट क्या है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का, और वहाँ पर क्या क्या चीज़ें चल रही हैं, क्या ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम्स हैं, वगैरह वगैरह। अगर देखा जाए तो रिकॉनेसेंस या इंफॉर्मेशन गैदरिंग की दो टाइप्स होती हैं, एक है पैसिव और एक है एक्टिव। पैसिव हमारा क्या होता है कि हम डायरेक्टली जो है अपने टारगेट से इंटरेक्ट नहीं करते, बल्कि हम इनडायरेक्टली करते हैं। कैसे? फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर मैं इस वक्त एग्जांपल दूँ प्ले माउथ की, जिसकी वेबिनार हो रहा है, तो मैं गूगल पे जाके इनकी सर्चिंग करूंगा कि भाई ये लोग मतलब क्या है क्या नहीं है, वहाँ से या डिफरेंट सर्च इंजन या SINT के थ्रू मैं डिफरेंट जगहों से ये मालूमात हासिल करूंगा, तो वो हो गया पैसिव। मैं डायरेक्टली अपने टारगेट से इंटरेक्ट नहीं हो रहा। दूसरा होता है एक्टिव, कि आप सर्टेन टूल्स यूज़ करें, उन टूल्स को यूज़ करने के बाद आप क्या कहते हैं, टारगेट की इंफॉर्मेशन अपने पास हासिल करें, ये आपका होता है एक्टिव। अगर मैं रियल वर्ल्ड के हिसाब से इंफॉर्मेशन आपको समझाऊं तो रिकॉनेसेंस हम इस तरह कर सकते हैं कि फॉर एग्जांपल एक एरिया है, आई कैन सी द स्क्रीन एट राइट, या इट्स गॉन नाउ। तो अगर मैं रियल वर्ल्ड के हिसाब से आपको बताऊं, तो अगर एक मैं किसी एरिया की बात करूं, फॉर एग्जांपल एक मोहल्ला है जिसे मुझे मतलब एक्सप्लॉइट करना है या जिसके ऊपर मुझे कब्जा करना है, तो दो तरीके हैं। मतलब अगर रिकॉनेसेंस के फेज में ये होगा कि मैं उस एरिया के अंदर पहले खुद जाऊं, देखूं कि वहाँ पर कौन कौन से घर हैं, कौन से क्रिटिकल घर हैं, फौजी वगैरह कहाँ होते हैं, कहाँ नहीं होते, पुलिस स्टेशन कहाँ हैं, मैंने हर चीज़ की उस एरिया में जाके खुद से मालूमात लूँ। ये हो गई मेरी एक्टिव इन्फॉर्मेशन गैदरिंग, कि मैं खुद उस एरिया के अंदर गया हूँ जिसको मुझे अभी पता करना है। ठीक है। दूसरी मेरे पास हो गई पैसिव। पैसिव के अंदर क्या होगा कि मैंने किसी को पैसे दिए और मैंने उसको कहा कि अंदर की जितनी भी इन्फॉर्मेशन है वो मुझे ला के दो, लाइक अ स्पाई। तो वो मुझे इन्फॉर्मेशन ला के देगा, या पब्लिक एक्सपोज इन्फॉर्मेशन मैं वहाँ से हासिल कर लूँ। वो हो गई हमारे पास पैसिव रिकॉनेसेंस। रिकॉनेसेंस के अंदर हमारा जो मेन गोल होता है वो ये होता है कि हम पूरे टारगेट की का एक ब्लूप्रिंट बना लें। लाइक जैसे कि मैंने पहले बताया कि वहाँ पर नेटवर्क क्या चल रहा है, आईपी एड्रेसेस वगैरह, हर एक चीज़। अब मैं अगर आपको नेटवर्किंग के हवाले से थोड़ा बताऊँ, वन सेक, शुड आई स्पीक इन इंग्लिश? आई गॉट अ रिक्वेस्ट।
Yeah, you can speak a user are requesting to be in English.
Okay, I'll try. So, actually, how to hide it? 1 minute. Okay. So, reconnaissance. The goal of reconnaissance is to actually create a blueprint. Blueprint. Like, if I give you an example in from a network point of view, so we have classes in networking, if you know, like class A, class B, and class C. So there are three classes. And these three classes can be used privately in an organization to host any system in it or a server in it. So in class A, there are more than 16 million options in which you can provide an IP address to a host. And in class B, there is more than 1 million. And in class C, there are 65,000. So if there's a no phase of reconnaissance, there are more than around 16 million possible IPs in which hosts can be decided. So we have to first narrow down our scope. We first have to find our critical host in the host which we have to target. Uh, like for example, I have to find out where are the main servers located, on which IP address, on which class the main servers are located. So that is the main goal of reconnaissance, that we have to first find the first we have to create the blueprint of the of our target. Next phase is scanning. So in the phase of scanning, what we do actually in reconnaissance, what we have already done is that we have narrowed down our scope. Now we know what our critical systems are, what we have to exploit. So in the phase of the scanning, what we do, we actually find out the ports. Like if I try to make you understand, so let's say I have one IP address 192.168.1.1. Okay, so in that one IP address, I have more than 65,000 ports, and on any port there can be any service running. So I have to find out the ports in which vulnerable services are running. So that's what the phase of a scanning does. We have to probe for open or closed ports and then find out the vulnerable services which are actually running on the system. If I try to make you understand in a more practical way, from an example of a real world, so reconnaissance is that I go into a particular area and search for the houses. Okay, like I count how many houses are there. But scanning, what does scanning do? Is in scanning I actually peek into the windows of the houses and and into the door, and actually find the vulnerable points where I can penetrate into that particular house, or a police station or any army forces, in order to exploit, or in order to obtain victory over the area. This is what the scanning phase does. So there's a note here. What does this note say? Actually, in a scanning phase, if you find certain services like SSH, Telnet, FTP, VNC, RDP, etc. So what do? First, you use a tool like Hydra to start cracking these services, because these services, once exploited, give you a complete access of a remote system or a victim machine. So once you are done with the scanning machine, it is better that you go into the scanning phase. So just like the goal of the reconnaissance, we have created the blueprint. Now we have found out the live host, IP addresses are gathered, operating systems are organized, and vulnerabilities and threats are identified. So next phase is exploitation. Before exploitation, I would like to tell you the difference between penetration testing and vulnerability assessment. In vulnerability assessment testing, we actually kind of stop here and we just report what are the vulnerabilities and what are the threats those vulnerabilities poses. Okay, but in penetration testing, we move into another phase, that is exploitation. Our goal is not just to provide organization with the information about the vulnerabilities, but in penetration testing, our goal is to actually exploit and penetrate into the network or a system, a vulnerable network or a system. So this is what exploitation does. So just like it says, this process can take many different forms. The end goal always remains the same: administrative level access to the computer. So some services, once exploited, does not allow you to gain administrative level access. So you have to exploit furthermore in a post exploitation phase. Exploitation is, if I more accurately defined, uh, is a way to bypass a security flaw, or like there's a flaw in a system, so we have to bypass that flaw and gain access into the system. That's what the exploitation phase does. So what are the main issues by which we can exploit the network or machines? So the main issues are outdated or misconfigured softwares, operating systems, networking devices. We can say that sometimes the software actually is, sometimes in organizations, the outdated software or operating systems are being used. Like for example, Oracle 11g is being used, even though there are newer versions of Oracle's operating system. Windows Server 2008 is being currently deployed in an organization. Old networking devices are used. Let's say an organization has all up-to-date softwares, operating system, and networking and other devices, but the administrator who is actually maintaining those devices have misconfigured those devices. So that also provide a flaw which can be exploited. Other than that, we have insecure protocols. Like in 2019, Bluekey was very famous, which targeted RDP protocol. So the protocol itself was vulnerable, due to which hackers were able to gain access into a victim's machine. Maintaining access. So once we have exploited into the system, our main goal is to create a persistent shell, because once we have exploited and victim actually restarts his PC, so the process which is actually running there is terminated. So our main goal is to firstly create a backdoor, a shell, a persistent shell, so that we can always maintain our access no matter how many times he restarts his PC or deploy a rootkit in his PC. The next and the last step is our to cover our tracks. So it is always important to cover our tracks once we have done all our things like disable auditing, clearing logs, etc. I would like to tell you that there are two types of actually hackers present in the world. There are one type that everybody knows about, and the second type is that nobody knows about because they know how to cover their tracks very well. And it's not that the ones who are very popular are not very good, but they try to expose themselves. But the most dangerous are anonymous ones, the ones nobody knows about. They enter into your system and does everything maliciously, and you don't even know about them. That's what because they are best at covering their tracks. So this is a line actually from 2017 that I have included in the slides. Like 90 to 95% of Fortune 500 companies use Active Directory, like Windows environment in their organization. So we will be actually focusing small office or home office network in our presentation furthermore. Or if we are considering medium or large networks, then currently we are assuming that we have penetrated into a network and we are currently in a VLAN where servers are actually residing. So it's better that we assume that we are currently in a small office or home office. But if you are assuming that we are a medium, there's a medium network or large network, then our assumption is that we are currently into a VLAN of a server where servers are residing. Okay, let's move forward. LLMNR poisoning. So I have described the phases of penetration testing, and now I have moved to intra-pen testing. So this is a type of attack that I'll be describing furthermore. So what is LLMNR poisoning? So before this attack, we will try to understand what is this LLMNR. Okay, so it is used to identify hosts when DNS failed to do so. Okay, it identifies hosts in a particular LAN network, local area network. Like there are multiple computers in a network. So this protocol in a Windows environment lets you identify different hosts. Previously, it was known as NBTNS. So what is the flaw of this? The flaw is in NTLM-v2 hash that we will be further discovering about it. Okay. So before moving into LLMNR poisoning and how this attack works, we will first get our basics straight. So what is DNS? DNS means domain name system. So actually there are two things in actually computer systems, humans and machines. Humans easily understand and can be able to easily memorize names. However, the computer works on numbers like IPs, okay, like this, right? So if I want to access google.com, I will have to write 172.127.217.19.14. But I cannot memorize different IPs of different famous websites like Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. So, but I can memorize their names, okay? But computer can memorize their IPs. So we need a bridge for a human being and for a machine. So this is where DNS comes into play. I write facebook.com and send the request to DNS. Okay, DNS tell google.com, and the DNS will respond my computer with the IP, and then my computer will use this IP to access google.com. This is what DNS does. It resolves names into particular IP addresses. So how does it relate with LLMNR? We will see. But first we will go into the history of LLMNR. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. NetBIOS. So firstly, in 1983, during the initial stages of computer systems, there was a protocol, Network Basic Input Output System, which was released in 1983. At that time, when the protocol was released, there was no actually concept of security that much. So what it does is it allows operating systems and applications to communicate with other hosts. Like there are different computers. It allows them to communicate one another on a LAN. Like I said, we are assuming that we are in a particular LAN or a small office or home office. So it allows application operating systems to communicate on LAN by performing name resolution. Name resolution like converting name into IP addresses without requiring DNS servers. Okay. Now we do not need a extra server in our LAN in order to identify hosts. We can do it with using NetBIOS. So after some time in 2016, in 2006, LLMNR was introduced, which replaced NetBIOS. Now the threatening part is that it is enabled by default in every Windows operating system that you install. So we have studied DNS, NetBIOS, LLMNR. Now we will move to what is actually password hash. Password hash क्या होता है? So password hash is like this. Like if I write Shamil, okay. So I will input this Shamil into a particular algorithm like MD5. Then I will get some output, a rubbish string. Like you can see, I have used an online tool to convert in. It is a MD5 hash. The best part about hashing, password hashing, is it is a one-way process. Once it has been converted, it cannot be converted back to its plain text. That is why it is used for authentication purposes. The difference between encryption, decryption, and this type of hashing algorithm is that encryption and decryption is a two-way process. Once plain text has been encrypted, it can also be decrypted at a destination end, but a hash can never be decrypted. So what do we do? In encryption decryption, we can decrypt if we have a particular algorithm, but in password hashes, we use dictionary attacks, hybrid attacks, or brute forcing attacks in order to obtain the plain text. So how does hashing and the cracking works? Like for example, I have obtained this hash. I am a hacker and I am a penetration tester and I have obtained this hash. I have this hash. So what I will do, I will have a word list. Okay, I have a word list, and in word list, in every line, I have particular words: A, ABC, ABD, and so on. This is a very long list, and I have this hash over here. I have hash over here. Okay, so what I will do, I will apply algorithm. Now I know the algorithm. Like for example, I am cracking MD5. So I will apply this MD5 algorithm on this particular line. The MD5 algorithm will give me a particular hash. Now I will match this hash with this, right? If it matches, then definitely I have a plain text. If not, I will move to next line. I will actually then try to use algorithms one by one on the whole word list and try to match it with my original hash that I have recovered from the victim's machine. And this is how the cracking of the password hashes works. So these are the basics that we have gotten over straight. Now we will move to the scenarios, like how could the interpenetration testing emulate the real world attacks. So first one is attacker is an internal employee, like a rogue employee. So for example, a CEO got fired with certain employee. Now he wants to harm his company. So this is one scenario. Second scenario is that attacker physically connects with something like rubber ducky or Raspberry Pi or something like that, and then he has actually created a backdoor in the network, and then he started pivoting further into the network of an organization. Third scenario can be considered as a attacker sends a malicious file to the employee. Employee opens it, and then it infects the system. This is a very famous example. Because the Bangladesh bank was actually attacked in this way. An attacker actually sent a malicious file to a bank, and then they further got exploited. It is a very famous story. You should actually read it out. So order of operations for name resolution. So what is the order? Suppose a victim wants to active file sharing system. Like there's an organization, right? There's a file sharing system, and there's a server which is the file sharing system, and every employee can access the system. Okay, using this, right? So how does the operation work on a computer, on a victim's computer? It first asks itself, right? It first asks itself in this particular file, does it already know its IP address? If not, then it will move to a DNS server. It will ask a DNS server, do you know where sharing is? Because computer does not know the names, it knows the IP addresses. So if DNS server fails, so computer starts broadcasting it. I will try to make you understand through a GUI. Okay, this is the reference to pentest blogs. So what it actually does is that this is a victim. Okay, it wants to access file server, right? So it will ask DNS server, who is file server? DNS server will say, I don't know. So victim will broadcast in its particular local area network who is file server. It will ask everyone. Now let's suppose there's an attacker in a local area network. So what attacker will say, yeah, it's me. So victim will say, I would like to log in. So attacker would say, sure, encode the challenge with your password hash. So victim will encode challenge response. Then the attacker will say, error message, something went wrong. Now what is the problem? The attacker has obtained the hash. Attacker has obtained the hash, NTLM v2 hash. So what are the tools we can use? Responder, MITMF, or LLMNR to emulate this attack. So how does responder work? Responder is actually a tool, Python-based tool, which is present already in a Kali Linux right now, or you can download it in from GitHub. I made a spelling mistake here, but you can see responder dash I. This represent interface, and this is the interface. You could be using Wi-Fi, so you could write WLAN 0 or something like that. You could check IF from ifconfig what interface you are using. So let's say that attacker has started his responder, right? Attacker is in the local area network and he has started his tool, right? So what will victim do? Victim will go to the sharing, to go to run type / sharing to open the sharing folder. So at the responder end, we will get the hash. As we can see, the Shamil currently, which is present in Ocklet's hash, is trying to access the sharing, and we have obtained his hash, which is starting from here until here. Maybe here, sorry. So we have obtained the hash. Next part is to crack it, right? The next our part is to crack the hash. We can use tools like Hashcat and John the Ripper to crack the hash. Should I start the practical here or complete the slide first? Okay. Hello. Let me ask. Start here. Okay. So can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, it is visible.
Oh, actually, there's no electricity here. We will complete the presentation. Let's see if the electricity is back. Then I'll try to demonstrate it in the machine. Actually, it's ESXi and deployed in a PC, and the PC is currently off. You can see the machines are off.
No issue.
Okay. Wait, I'll ask someone to turn on the generators. Okay, I'm back. So, am I audible? Hello?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay. So just like this, there's another thing like WPAD, Web Proxy Auto Discovery Protocol. Like there's an organization and there are different servers currently deployed in an organization for like proxy purposes. So many internet browsers have enabled system proxy set by default in their internet settings. So they will seek out a WPAD server for a proxy address. So let's say there's an organization which has like hundreds of computers in their organization, and at the edge, let me turn on the pointer. Let me turn the pointer like this. So this is the edge router, and they have deployed some web servers here, right? And they keep changing their webs, and then there's a switch, and there are certain PCs, hundreds of PCs, right? So despite being configuring these the server IPs in each and every PC, what they do is use the WPAD protocol. What does this protocol do? It automatically configures the it automatically redirects the request to the server. So when there's a certain, so using the PAC file, this is the actually what the this is where the problem resides. What we can do through the using WPAD, we can actually maliciously change maliciously what we can say inject the malicious code into the WPAD and obtain the hashes just like we did here. But this is actually related to web proxy auto discovery protocol. It does the same thing like above. So we can use the same tool for to simulate this attack. We can see we have used certain flags, start the WPAD server, enable basic HTTP authentication, and force authentication for WPAD login prompt. Now notice that Firefox prompts the user to manually enter the credentials. Once you have actually started this attack, so Firefox will continuously ask you to enter the credentials. However, Internet Explorer and Chrome would not. Now next we will move to we have studied about NTLM v2 hashes through two different methods. And suppose we have obtained the hashes, right? We have obtained the hashes, but our word list is unable to comprehend the actual password. Okay, like for example, password is 16 digits and contains small and capital letters and characters, and we are unable to brute force or use a dictionary attack in order to actually get the plain text out of it. So what we will do, we will try the pass the hash attack. Now let's study about what is pass the hash attack. So in pass the hash attack, what actually happens is that the attacker actually uses victims hash and send it to the server, or the target. Okay, and now we will see how it happens. User attempts to access the resource. Okay, server sends authentication challenge. User supplies username and stolen hash is sent to the server checks hash value against expected access granted to resource. Now what does happen? Now I will try to make you explain. So I have obtained the username, the domain name, and the hash, right? I have obtained the hash of a Shamil. I do not have his password, right? Now what is the drawback of MD5, or what is the drawback of hashing? It cannot decrypt it. It can only authenticate, like I have explained earlier. It will only authenticate it with the hash provided to it. So if I steal someone hash and use his username, his domain name, and same hash, then I can replicate his identity. Okay, I can steal his identity. This is what pass the hash means. I will pass victim's hash to the target and or the server, and the server will assume that particular victim is actually accessing it. Okay, this is what pass the hashes attack. Pass the hash attack is done like you have obtained someone hash and you are using his identity in order to access the server's resources. Hash, raise the hand. Okay, multi-relay. So multi-relay is the tool which is used to perform the pass the hash attack. But one condition is that SMB timing must be off. So if you want to protect yourself from the pass the hash attack, you should definitely turn it on so that you can be secured from this. There's another tool for run finger in order to identify in which hosts are vulnerable to pass the hash attacks. So we will see scope. The scope of the responder is limited to a particular LAN. Okay, but see there are multiple VLANs in a organization, and there's an inter VLAN communication accessible, and people can access here and there. So responder can only gain hashes from a particular VLAN, okay, like in this, or in this, or if it is present in a particular LAN. But multi-relay can pass the hash to any VLAN to access resources. That is what the scope of this two tools lies. So there are other loopholes to look for, like DSCP attacks, ARP spoofing attacks, SCP, DTP, and definitely certain vulnerabilities to look for. DSCP attacks, ARP spoofing, SCP, you can look for them on the internet. I would like to explain you certain like how misconfiguration can be a real threat to organization. Let's say I'll try to give you an example of CCTV cameras. Okay, so for example, an organization bought certain cameras and they have deployed it into the organization. Cameras in every room. Okay, so you can access the camera in particular IP 1.1, right? In particular IP, the password is admin, and username is admin, and password is really complicated and you cannot actually decipher it or like crack it. But there's an issue: when you were installing it, you actually enabled another protocol like OnWave, right? Like OnWave. Now the protocol is enabled. You have actually seen that nobody can access the camera through this IP using HTTP RTSP, but once using the OnWave application, the attacker can access the cameras, right? So the issue is neither in the cameras nor in the software, nothing. But what what did you do? You configured OnWave, but did not actually change the password or protect it from this point of view. So misconfiguration can also lead to a very threatening part. Okay, this is the presentation. I will go on and look at my computer to uh, for the practical purpose. Just wait 1 minute. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we can see.
The computer is being turned on. I'll reply to all of you after the session ends. Okay. So until the computer on, I'll wait. It's on. Okay. So I will first on my DC. On. I will turn on my Kali machine. So I'll first explain you what is the environment. So it's a virtual environment actually. So I have one domain controller here. Like, let me tell you. Domain controller is Oclit's hat. Okay, this is the name of the domain controller DNS that I have actually mentioned. This is the name of the user. Shamil is the name of the user. So this is the domain controller. There are certain Windows machines, Windows 7 machines, 1 2 Windows 7 machines, and then there's a Kali box which will try to uh, actually perform these attacks. So this is actually, if you understand my audio, this is the environment here. Okay, this is the domain controller in which DNS is installed. Why is it not opening? Let's see. happened here? The client is not. Actually, everything was ready, but due to electricity issues, everything. You know what happened? Okay, Kali is boot up. Nothing is pinging. Right. Taking a lot of time. I don't know why it was working perfectly fine before the presentation.
So no problem, bro. As restarting a PC might take time, so till then you can solve the queries.
Okay, right. So where can I find few queries in the chat here? Hello.
So guys, you can send your queries in
Where
the
are the?
Hmm.
Hello. Yeah, it's on. It is also on. Okay. Uh, where are the queries? Okay, here we go. Uh, one sec, Bhagyesh. 1 second, just. Can you guys see my screen, right?
We can see it. Just please remove the chat box from the screen.
Okay. Okay, so I have virtual machines here. So this is Kali box. Kali Linux machine, like the machine used to do penetration testing. These are Windows 7 machines that I will be exploiting. and this is the domain controller here. I will try to log in it into it first. This is a virtual environment I have prepared for the penetration test. This is the domain name, okay? Oclid Site is the domain name, and currently administrator is trying to log into it. So it's done. So now we will move to here. So it's very simple, guys. First we will see currently find current. There's nothing saved in the responder directory. So responder logs. There's nothing in a log file, okay? So what I will do, like previously defined, responder dash I, I will define interface. You can see I have currently wired connection, or you can, this is a very old version of Kali Linux. I have config. You can see I am on ETH0. So I will define to ETH0. Now it will start listening. Yeah, there we go. Let's see. Okay, it's on. Now I will move to here, slave machine 7. It's asking me to send control or delete. I cannot press it, so I will send it via here. Send control or delete. Shamil is currently being logged in. I am putting a password. Logged in. And here we will switch user, administrator. Administrator. I think there's an issue in responder. It should start working on HTTP. It's on. Let's see. Got see. What I did do, I simply entered sharing here. Okay, I simply entered this in order to access something, and I have already got the hash here of administrator. So you can see poison answer sent to the particular IP for this, and I have got the hash of it. So since we already have administrator hash, we will try to crack it. We can copy it from here, okay? And let's say this is desktop file. We are on the desktop, you can see. So echo we have now two files, hash dot, we have got hash.txt. I have saved that hash in this file. We can see from, we have got the hash here, okay? So we will try to crack this hash. I have already got the word list here. I will, if I try to open it, my computer will actually get hanged. So I'm not opening it because it is a very long file. Around 14 million passwords are in it. So we can see it actually, how many passwords are there. This Linux ls cd desktop word account. Oh my god. You see, there are around 14 million passwords in it. And I have actually put the main password at the end.
Just wait, bro. Some net issue. Yeah, now
Ah,
Samil, it is okay.
okay, one sec. Where was I when it stopped?
You were just writing the tail command to view the last password which was present at the last.
Okay, did I explain hashcat? This you can see in the chat box here. Did I explain this? Hello?
No, you didn't explain that.
Okay, one sec. अजान हो रही है उसके बाद में start कर. Okay, let's begin. So hashcat is a tool to crack the passwords, right? If I do this hashcat help, you will see there are so many algorithms that so many algorithms for hashing that it uses to crack the hashes into a main text password using a particular word list. So like you can see hashcat, and if you want to hashcat help, we will be grabbing the password, and let's say you want to crack something from Cisco. 1 minute. So these are the numbers for it, but we are currently interested in NTLM. Okay, so NTLM V2H. So we will be using this. Okay, so I've actually hashcat help. We will be using something like these are the examples. Hashcat -A0. You will see what these numbers do. There's a whole explanation here. You can read it yourself or Google it. What this user do, it performs a simple dictionary attack. Like I explained previously in the presentation, it will check one line one by one, perform the does its algorithm on it, and check each password. So this is what this zero do does. M. This M defines the algorithm. What we are interested in is an NTLM v2 hash. What was the number? Open terminal. Hash cat help grab. It is 5600. So we will be using 5600. We are currently in desktop. Open terminal ls. So this is our hash. We will give, let's see, uh, is here. Okay, we will give the name of the file hash.txt. This is the word file which has 14 million passwords in, more than 14 million passwords in it. One sec. The cracking process has been started. I don't know, it's going to take a lot of time, I guess. Status. You can check the status here. 72% done, 76% done, 79% done, 83, 87, 90, and 300. This and it was EC pass. One sec. Uh, it has been cracked. You can see actually once the password has been cracked, it is saved into this particular file, hashcat.pot file. So if I do this hashcat.pot file, what it does is that it gives the whole hash and then provides the password at the end. This is the plain text password that is currently being decrypted. So what we can do, um, since the password has been cracked, we will go to verify if the password has actually been cracked. We will use the protocol Samba, this protocol, to access the windows. SMB. What was the machine? This was the machine, right? AMD ipconfig IP106. This machine on? No, it's not on. I've used this IP address. Okay, CMD ipconfig 192.168.0.76. Actually, inter-VM communication is disabled in this, so I cannot access from here to there. Okay, so I am accessing this machine in place of that. So what was the username? Administrator. What was the domain? The domain was Oculets tab. And what was the password? Password was password. While we are in the system, users administrator. Can you see a desktop? Desktop. We will create something. And we will see here. See, the folder has been created. It has been found. So this is the practical of the responder, how responder works. We can use actually multi-relay too using the same method. There's a tool multi-relay here. One other thing, the passwords are already saved here. You can see. So in case you have closed the terminal, you can actually you can always get your password from the logs. You see, it has already been stored here. These are stored here and in database file as well. Browse data, responder, what did responder respond, and here is your hash, and here is the full hash, which is used for the cracking purposes. So this was the practical. I hope I was able to make you understand, and if there is any confusion, I can re-explain it. If there was an hello, is anybody there? Akash.
Yeah.
So this was the presentation.
What?
It's done.
Pardon.
Hello.
Yeah.
The presentation is done. I performed practical.
Okay.
You can open their mics.
Okay. So guys, I have turned on the chats, and if you are having any queries, you can ask. Else he will be also available in the Discord group.
In a Discord group. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, you will be getting the recordings of the session on our YouTube channel. Will be uploaded within 2 to 3 days.
Everyone's private message is gone. If you okay, it's my message.
Actually, they are sending me privately.
Acha, okay, they are
Yeah,
sending me
you
privately.
will also be getting the PPT.
Can you show the decrypt hacking once again? It's not a decrypt hacking. It's yeah, hashing. Yeah, sure. Hello.
Yeah.
Hey, can you remove the chat window? It's blocking the main screen.
So Shami, please remove the chat window. Yeah.
And this was you are unmute. What was I not audible until now?
No.
No,
Actually,
you
your
are
mic
muted.
was off.
Oh my god, who muted me? You did.
Actually,
Okay,
accidentally.
it's okay. So I will explain again. So Hashcat is used to crack the hashes of different algorithms. Like you have for Oracle, Cisco, different company uses different algorithms to perform hashing on their on the plaintext process. Let's say, let's go to the help of the Hashcat. So what do we have here? We will see from the examples. Hashcat dash A0. What does this zero define? You can see from the up there. From up there, this zero defines simple dictionary attack, right? This three defines a brute forcing attack. Okay, this one defines, like you can say, combinator attack. So till here, what I did do, I wanted to apply simple mm, uh, simple dictionary attack. Now comes what algorithm will I be using? So in order to identify algorithm, what you can do, you can use this hash hashcat. Okay, help grab dash I. For example, you want to crack Cisco. You have some Cisco's. So these are the different numbers for different algorithms of Cisco. You want to go for Oracle. These are the different algorithms that Oracle uses to use their hashing. But what we are interested in, NTLM. Okay, NTLM. Here we go. We currently have NTLM v2 as you have already seen. So we will be using this number. We got the number. Okay. Now examples tell me that I have to provide what hash file. So